I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's.
Did the CIA write Wind of Change by the Scorpions?
As humans busied themselves about the various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied.
Dr. Loeb, what percentage chance do you give it that you have indeed uncovered extraterrestrial or non-human technology?
With infinite complacence, people went about their affairs, yet across an immense ethereal gulf, intellects vast and unsympathetic drew their plans against us.
All of a sudden, a stick out of nowhere landed right in front of us, and there was no tree, nothing overhead. Something threw it at us.
Yeah.
All Things Unexplained.
So some of that, I think, sir, we'll save for closed session.
Hello, all you unexplained ones. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, CJ Derringer, along with my co-host, Dr. Mounts. Something we don't get to say often is good morning. Normally, we're recording these shows at night. So good morning to everyone who is joining us. Thank you for tuning in. We really love all of our listeners in this community that we have built here at All Things Unexplained of open-minded people. And we have a wonderful show for you today. You are not going to want to miss this conversation. Please do like and subscribe, follow our show so that we can continue bringing this wonderful information to you. And now we are going to welcome to the show Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger. Good morning, Dr. Stuckelberger.
Good morning, both. Thank you for inviting me. This is a fantastic adventure.
Yes, absolutely. Now, we stumbled upon you because you have done a few interviews recently talking about CERN and what they are uncovering there. But that's not your history. You started in the public health world, and we are going to dive into all of her thoughts and ideas about CERN. But I do want to start with a little background on you. Tell us about your education, where you started, and where you're headed.
Yes, well, I'm a scientist, but I actually was already a parascientist in my soul before. So a meta scientist and parascientist. But I started in biology because my aim was, and that's maybe important. So my aim was in life was to understand what I can change and what I can't change, what is predestined and what is not predestined, what is due to the hazard or not, and to understand the meaning of all of it. So we're right in the right spot. So I started in biology, went to psychology, and then ended up in WHO in medicine, in the mental health department to analyze the differential diagnosis in the cultures. And actually, it's very difficult to make one standard diagnosis. So I saw that culture is linked to much more than that, and the belief are much more a factor in all research than we think. And I moved to science in the Faculty of Medicine, got a privatdocent, got a PhD in epidemiology, but public health. And since then, I've been doing governments, a review of science in many, like anti-aging medicine and longevity was one of them, my expertise. But in WHO also, so WHO hired me many times on the pandemic. So I know right away that it was all wrong and all a fraud, but it's like that. And then it was in ethics and in many different factors of health. But I also was interested in spiritual health and the other factors, multidimensional. So I actually encountered the Director General of WHO, Altan Mahler, who wanted to change the definition of health by adding. It's not only it's a state of well-being, physical, mental, and social, and not just a lack of handicap or just But he wanted to add spiritual, and it was pulled under the carpet. So I have been looking for other meanings, even in the UN, and I have worked in many other departments in the UN, and Faculty of Medicine, 30 years of struggle as a woman. But I love science and I love investigation. And I'm very open because we don't know, and that's the statement really, nobody knows the real truth of anything. We have to stay open And particularly in what's happening now, it's a fantastic scenery of investigation. We get so much information that was hidden to us. So I'm happy to be, and I accepted to be on your show because that's exactly what we have to do, the unexplained.
Yes. And I can testify that you are a lifelong learner, because once we got on, you were already telling us about different things you were researching and videos that you had been watching. And so it didn't stop for you. It continues. And that's how you came to us, which we're so lucky. Now I'm going to ask you $1 million question here, because you do study longevity. What do you think is one thing that everybody could change today, simple thing, that could help with longevity?
Can I say just, it's one thing, it's epigenetics.
You would like.
Actually, it's epigenetics. The whole world is talking of genome, but actually the genome is hidden to us. What they have discovered, even Howard says that it's only 10% of our genome. And because they're lying so much, I start to wonder how they describe it, with the double helix, if it's not just vibration and frequency, and we are embodied in that frequency. The epigenetic is the expression of the gene, and there are 3 factors that have been proven to change whether your choice is to be healthy, and it can change in a day, to the whole thing. If you're healthy, or if you're going to be sick, if you're going to live long or not, and it is subjective, emotional aspect. So it's very subjective, and that's why you have to stay at a high frequency. And high frequency is actually the best. Is you can measure that. It's been measured. It's love, but authenticity is actually higher. So if you love with authenticity, the truth, you are rising up, and that's what we're doing. So that's the first. And the second is lifestyle, and it expresses the gene, good or bad. If it's nutrition, what you do with your body, and actually physical activity is an antidepressant. And nutrition can heal everything and can detox, anything that has been falling on our heads, and nanoparticles of what they're trying to do. And the third one is environment. So the environment where you live, even the painting you use on your walls can be toxic. The air you breathe, the water, the environment, is it happy or not? But the main thing I would say, what do you do first in the morning and what do you do last before sleeping is essential. You're building your life on that, actually, because you step out of your bed, think what you're thinking, and observe yourself. And there was a guy, a man that I always remember. He was, I think it was American TV, and he said, "My secret is that when I step my foot on the ground, I say, I decide to be happy." And it is a decision. It's not just, oh, it's happening to me. It is a decision. I'm going to be happy, and I will do what I want to make it happen today, whatever happens outside. So that's I think, one of the key to happiness, and the rest.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so longevity, it has to do with our mental health as well. You heard it here first. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how you came to us, how this conversation came to be was because of these comments that you had made about CERN. And maybe should we do a little background on what CERN is, where it's located, and then we can dive into your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's do a little PowerPoint, right, CJ?
Yes.
Great.
Okay, so what are we seeing in this picture right here?
Well, so first of all, this is what is CERN, and basically CERN is a very large research institute, and it's highlighted by the Large Hadron Collider, where they smash particles together.
And Astrid, what do you think CERN's initial idea was when this enormous place was built to smash particles together? What were they looking for or hoping to discover?
Well, actually, that's what I did today. I thought that I need to know the history of this institution, because it is actually almost part of the UN. And it is actually built like the UN. And it was created in 1940. It started to be talked about. And in December 1949, they had a meeting all together, and there are about 11 countries that got together and said, we have to do something for science and research. By the way, CERN is the French acronym that means European Council for Nuclear Research. And it's in French, you have to know that. So if you think nuclear research, you think there are scientists, yes. So the UN in itself doesn't have an organigram with science except UNESCO, which is in Paris. And actually, what I found is that they really established it officially with UNESCO only later in 1953. And they even created a convention. You can find it on their website, or whatever I say here is, you can find the convention. It was built like exactly how the texts of the UN are built. And finally, in 1st of July 1953, it was created with a set of articles, same type, where if there is a problem, it's the International Court of Justice of the United Nations, like for the other agencies, that is deciding. So I was very surprised to see that it is like the UN, and it did construct after the World War II, the second one, knowing that the UN has been premeditated to be built after the World War I, after the World War II, and now used into World War III. The World War II never ended, actually. The Nazis went away and came back, and they were already, dispatched. It is incredible how it's done. So what I see, it is first 11 countries, but now I counted, it's about 23, and there are 3 that are new members, and the US is an observer or associate member. So it's the whole world is there, and they're working with labs. And it's interesting because they create something. We are working with labs in the world. What does that mean? Laboratory. And it is in the whole world. So when there was the eclipse on the 8th, I was researching and I found that there were many mini CERNs around the world. And that's probably in the history of it. So the marking, there are some stepping stones. And one of the stepping stone is that Tim Berners-Lee officially in 1990 created the World Wide Web. And that was my surprise when we were doing a commemoration at the UN for that, when I organized the UN Open Day twice. And we had to invite the CERN, and I went to CERN and I collaborated with them. I was like, what the heck is the Wide Web doing in CERN? That was a big question. I thought, and I now start to understand, but at that time I was like, okay. So you see, it is supposed to be for science of subatomic particles. So the smallest and actually the biggest and the widest, because in their convention, they say that they'll want to analyze cosmic rays. I don't know if it's written in the text here, but yeah, they put galaxy cluster. It's your question. Okay. Anyway, it is very interesting because they are going from the smallest particle to the biggest, because they want to take cosmic rays. And that's another question I haven't solved yet, but it's new to me. So
okay, so they've been taking these particles, smashing them together to see what comes of them. And I've heard everything from they have created black holes to they are trying to create wormholes so that they can help us figure out how we can travel through the universe. But you heard some things about portals. So tell us a little bit about what you've learned about possible portals opening up in CERN.
Yeah, first, the black hole thing, because black hole, there's no application. It was written even on the website of CERN. They work with antimatter, and they work with portals, and they have all the thing of time. They want to collude the particles, so they put the particles in this lower collidron, LHC, I will call it, this huge loop of 27 kilometers that they want to build now to 91 kilometers.
Oh, wow.
And they put it to the speed of light, and they want to collude all these particles, so the explosion will open something, a part of the portal, or some new beings coming out. And they even said that. So if you want the portal, I have a story to say, and we can come back to this experiments that are, and what they said on the 8th. I have a quote here of the director of research on the eclipse day, what they want to do. So when I was always intrigued by CERN, and there are two perspectives why. One is because in the what is happening with the WHO in the epidemic of typology that I was in charge of for 3.5 years at WHO to teach. There was a typology on infectious disease, but I mean, it's bacteria, parasites, not just obsession with virus. My viromania, actually, we know it does not even exist. It's a detox. And the second was foodborne disease. The third was chemical. And that's why the crime scene has to take care of all that, when there are deaths. And the last one is radionuclear. So I was inviting people from the Atomic Agency, International Energy Atomic Agency in Vienna, and they were collaborating with CERN. And the students could ask questions, but I always ask questions. And I said, is it dangerous to be near CERN? And are there particles? And is there a surge in cancer? Have you noticed that people are more sick in this? And he said, oh, no. They're denying that radionuclear events are even creating thyroid cancer, which is proven. So that was my first very big question. I was like, CERN is here. They're doing subatomic explosion. And, it's like radionuclear. And we don't have, maybe we're going to disappear in a black hole. I was like, what's going to happen? So that was the first, I've always questioned, they were very strange and stuff. So then forward to 2016, I was invited to, kind of marriage dinner, very nice. And they seated me with 2 physicians from the CERN. And I said, fantastic. I said, I'm going to ask them all those questions.
Jackpot.
So, yeah, it was great. And so they were from Portugal. And because it was in Portugal, this dinner. And so I said, the first thing I'm very interested in is how many dimensions do we have in this world? Because we call 3D, 4D, 5D, and there's a lot of discussions, and something that always intrigued me. So they both affirmed 17. Oh, 17. I said, but where is this written? Can I find something? Can you give me some documents? They did not give me any link, any document. It was like, no, we just know there are 17 dimensions. Okay, and I said, so what special can you tell me about those 17 dimensions? How far did you explore? That's when they talked about the portal. And on the picture you showed, that's the type of portal we see in Stargate, right? This thing, yeah, exactly. So the movies in Hollywood have kind of warned us. Everybody tells me I should watch all the Stargate because that's where a lot of the truth has come. But so this portal, they have many different labs and rooms with portals, and this big LHC, 27 kilometers around. But they explained to me that they were not in the experiment, but their friends were from the CERN in Geneva, that they asked for beings to come from the portal, from other dimensions, and a being came. I call it being because I said, so can you describe? And they said, no, we can't. We don't know. So maybe they know and they couldn't talk about it. And I said, but how do you know it's really not invented? And he said that they did it again a few times, and once clothes were left, a scarf. And again, question, how was the scarf, and etc. But they didn't know. But it's a known fact in the CERN. And I stayed with that, like perplexed, because I said, how come that nobody talks about this happened, with the eclipse and everything? I said, yeah, makes sense. And I spoke about Apollonian and and this, with Maria Z on the TV, her TV 2 years ago, the first time, it was very important. I said, yeah.
So
in fact, CERN is
interesting.
built on a altar.
The scarf, the leaving of the scarf behind, that shifts my thought process a lot, because I know that one thing CERN is wanting to do is work on time travel. So is it possible that the being that they were coming in contact with was a human from a different time period? Because when you think scarf, you definitely think human. We don't hear about demons or aliens or what have you leaving scarves, but not to say that they couldn't, of course. But that makes me think more time travel than opening a portal to another planet or universe or what have you.
Well, they describe that they are time portal. That's one of
Okay.
their topics. It's there on CERN. I don't know if they've put it lately, but I
Yes.
never saw that before. This Mandela effect. They put the news and they say, no, it was always there, and you start doubting about your past.
Yeah.
So I think they have time machines they discovered in the caves of the Vatican, in the tunnels, and there is in Europe, large Europe, the Busegi, and I mean it's known like that, but I have never seen one. There are time machines that were used by the Vatican, hidden by the CIA, etc. If this is right, then they have done it before.
Yeah. And of course, the Vatican would be involved with something like that.
So, yeah,
They
because
have
if they lie,
deep
they don't want us to
connection.
know, because they've been lying. Maybe they've been even adding 1,000 year. That's what we can see on some monuments. They've been adding 1,000 year on Jesus Christ year. So there are many possibilities. That's what as you are an open audience, there are many possibilities, but you can see the proof, because many monuments can just put a I before a Roman I, but in fact it should be another letter that is different, or it should be at the same size, and it's not. And there are many things that they've been hiding that we know. There are giants that have existed in St. Petersburg, and there are proofs of that. So they lie so much that a time machine would really be fantastic for us. But they made Hollywood Back to the Future to make us believe that it's not the way that we think it is. It's much easier.
Where we're going, we don't need roads. Astrid, that's what they say in Back to the Future. But wow, seriously, what better way to control the narrative than to be able to control time itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
And some
listening
military, I don't know if you saw this video. I forgot his name, from a military who talked about that they were using the time machine in this war. It's a very different war from the Second World War they have portrayed to us historically, and that it is a chess game on the time machine, because they know and they have won. And he said, we have already won since 2012, but it is a question. It is absolutely no doubt that the things are going to change for the better. I forgot, and it is a special name, this project of the military. I forgot now. It's not paper.
We'll look that up. We'll look that up.
Sorry?
And get we'll look it up and get a link in here so that
Yeah.
people can check that
So
out for
it's
themselves.
good to know that the movements now are more about narrative censorship, etc. And we know this with I invite everybody to go and see the interview of Tucker Carlson with Mike Benz, because Mike Benz saying that it is a war on narrative censorship and, of course, history, lies. So the CERN is the same. They are lying. They're going to subatomic levels. They know a lot of things. And actually what we see is that they're actually summoning. They're summoning entities to come in a portal.
Right.
And it is exactly what happened. I don't know if you want to talk about it now. At the eclipse, that's when I posted most, because I was like, whoa, the Director General of the CERN, I can even quote that.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Here, I printed it because I want to quote you, because it's spectacular. You can say, oh, I have a hypothesis.
Oh, we lost you there.
We have Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger with us
I
from
I
Switzerland.
said something wrong. I'm
Hi.
here.
They cut you
I
off,
must have said something.
but she's back.
Usually it's so there is a guy who made a TED talk. I think he's called Rich Sutton, who created the quantum computer D wave, and he said that in the TED talk that they are really waiting now for entities and aliens coming in portals, and these entities we are summoning. It's going to work soon, and so now they're summoning through the AI. But anyway, let's come back to the CERN on 8th of April, the eclipse. But they've tried it before. I think in July 22, I saw. But we were all very concerned about this.
Every time she goes to talk about the eclipse, she gets frozen. So there's clearly something that somebody doesn't want her talking about.
There does seem to be something going on.
Anymore. I'm not going to say the word anymore.
She's back again. Yeah.
Because
When they were
it's
looking
AI,
at the
it's strange.
thing in the sky, with the sun happening.
Incredible, but I mean, I'm used to this. So the director for research and scientific computer at CERN, Sergio Bertolucci. I'm not censored. Good. Okay. He said that the Titanic machine may possibly create or discover previously unimagined scientific phenomena or unknowns, for instance, an extra dimension. And he says, out of this, and it's really quoted, out of this portal, might come something, or we might send something through it. Can you imagine? He said that. And then you can find it on the web. And I put on my X, when I posted, I put the link to that text.
Yeah.
You had to find it. I went and did research because I knew they were trying to call upon entities like they did, with the Gotthard, St. Gotthard and this. So
let's talk about that. Okay, so first, it seems to me that if we are going to travel throughout this universe, then a portal, a wormhole is the only way to do it, other than, cryogenically freezing some of us for however long to get places. But looking to...
Well, I have another hypothesis.
Sure,
Yeah, I have another hypothesis. As the film Matrix was a call, like Truman Show, but the fact that we are in a matrix already, we are kept in a matrix, and we by frequency that have been built upon us, whatever earth we have, that keeps us off from going and traveling the way we want. And it is done on purpose. Before the Tartaria countries had all those scalar waves and free energy, and there are still remnants about that. But if we think about that logic, that they have put us under, and they know we are raising up and we are finding out a lot, so they put us even more down, with chemtrails and stuff. 20 to 40 elements in chemtrails from the table of Mendeleev has been found in the last months in the air in nano size. So they're trying to really put us down, and we cannot connect. And when we are born, when we decide and accept to be born, I would say, we forget where we are from. And for me, this is really it's my journey. My spiritual journey brings me there. That's why we can only sense or experiment, and I'm experimented a lot of things. So that are not scientifically proven, but they question everything, and it is an experience.
Yes. So if I'm understanding correctly, I've heard this concept that we all have different frequencies at different dimensions, and that in order to access a different dimension, you would have to be on a different frequency. So for your standpoint, if we can control our frequency, get out of the control of others and those that are trying to lower our frequency, we might be able to travel to different dimensions that way.
Yeah, you can, but you have to be careful not to be caught in what they want us to believe. And that's why religions, the way that they're imposing, now they're going to try to create another science religion, they are keeping us in the grid. So I'm really into even the hypothesis, I keep that the dharma, the karma, of the Buddhist, that you reincarnate is because you cannot get out of their matrix. Because you get out of your life and you have been programmed to believe that this is going to be like this and like that, and you go back down. And how to get out of the matrix is my big question now. And one of them is frequency, but it's also to recognize authenticity and what is real and what is not real. And that's exactly the exercise we're going through now. So frequency is definitely, but it's also questioning the programmation we've gone through. And if you have made this website, it's because you are deprogramming the beliefs. So I like that.
We're trying.
That's a great point about the matrix. And we're speaking with Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger, and we're so thankful she's here with us today to talk about all kinds of things. And Astrid, some scientists have said that, you know what, we have scientific principles in place that kind of point toward a matrix because they seem to be a boundary that we cannot escape. For example, the speed of light and traveling across vast distances. And sure enough, these seem to be the things that CERN is really looking into from the very beginning, and especially with the Large Hadron Collider, where they're smashing these subatomic particles. And I saw where, these particles that are smashing together, they compare to the width of a hair, the same way that a grain of sand compares to the earth. So this is how small the particles are that we're talking about. And at one point, you had mentioned subatomic dimensions. So I feel like, is it proper to say that when we're talking about these 17 dimensions, that we're somehow speaking about subatomic dimensions?
You're leading my thought to a place that I want to talk about. It's that for me, everything they're doing, and it's also genetic, because in genetics there is subatomic. And if you look at all the texts that have been by WHO, everybody, they are talking of genome editing when they don't even know the hidden genome, the junk genome are the most important there about frequency. And the Nobel Prize, which is really, the propaganda mechanism to impose a science, the last ones were to an American and a French who were decoding the genome. And even one of them, I have to find the name, she wrote a book on God's code, decoding God. And that's exactly what they want. For me, that goes in the direction of their motivation. Why are they doing that? They want to find what is making the universe, they or it, and the smallest and the biggest. That's why NASA has been created and CERN has been created, for the both extremes that nobody can check because they're hiding everything. And they want to take over for us, through us, our divine properties. For me, that's clear, because they're doing all this cults and they're summoning things, and they're trying to find, and how do you replace a life by creating virtual life? And this is where I find this coherence, is that with AI, they're looking at how you can create synthetic subatomic elements, synthetic genes. And actually they have already started to put, strains. CRISPR-Cas, for those who know, is the technique of, going and changing the book of life, and to take a page out and to put a synthetic page, to rewrite the story that we have in our genes, whatever it is that is real. And they want to take over. So you can look at that, in a biblical way and say that it's, evil Lucifer who wants to take the code of God and wants to be God, which is the agenda of the Freemason, by the way, the higher level after 33. So for me, there is a war on who we are. They want to do this, like Max Igan, who has made very good videos lately. Max Igan, IGAN. He say artificial intelligence is just a tool, but what they want to do really is autonomous virtual life. And it's very interesting because to me that is a key of the puzzle. They are aiming at imposing AI. It is a very dangerous tool because AI, you can program it to be autonomous. Can you imagine if suddenly AI, and that Singularity is near in the US, was built for that? You know, in all my research on longevity, I stumble onto Singularity is near, where everything, all the genomes, every data is going to come in one database, the big data, and this is going to be autonomous and direct the whole world without us. So this is the danger because it is abuse. It is a potential abuse that is absolutely incredible, and surveillance, and you can see it going on because we are very free. It's interesting because with the contrast, you can feel and see that our divine is very free, creative. They can never predict, especially women. They cannot predict what they're going to do next. So they never put them in religious, heads of religions, for example, or they replace a man with women with man transformed into women. You know, so they will not manage.
I'll just slide on out of here on that
one. We are unpredictable. It's a beautiful thing.
But because our brain is not wired the same, you know. And it's funny, which is this comedian who's so funny, Gaitlin. Anyway, he died in 2019, and he has one on the brain of man and women, which is very funny. But it's true, and there are very nice sides, and there are, of course, challenging sides to that. But we are not the same, but we are complementary, and they're breaking that now. If you look, their aim is to break down family, to break down the beauty of man and women being complementary, and so they want to break creation, procreation. They want to take over maternity. They're creating artificial wombs. So it all makes sense. You see, when you align the investigation with a scenario of logic, well, that's what you find.
It does seem like AI is taking over. It does seem as though the future of humanity is some sort of crossbreed of artificial intelligence and human.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the way that we get to another universe, right? Is they think that if they can crossbreed us with artificial intelligence, we can survive long enough to get across the universe to a different planet or to a different solar system. So let's go back a little bit I want to talk about beings, this concept of beings and rituals that have happened at CERN. And I think there was one other place that we wanted to bring up some rituals. And we had a question
it's all
here.
Over the place. It's all over the place.
It is all over the place. So a comment here from Helen of Crystals. And thank you, Helen, by the way. She always tunes in and is so communicative with us and always commenting. So Helen, we appreciate you. Helen of Crystal says, it's the satanic ritual type opening ceremonies that make me curious. And maybe you have more insight into what she is referring to.
And I have an interesting video on that as well.
Oh, great.
Good. So let's switch it.
Okay, so let me preface this video by this. So up until this video, it was all just speculation, right, about satanic rituals and that sort of thing going on at CERN. But then these CERN scientists literally made a prank sort of video acknowledging that, hey, this is part of our lore. This doesn't have any sound. And because it's a little disturbing, I'm going to cut the very end of it off, but it's very short. So let me add this to the stage. And what we're seeing here, this is someone recording from a cell phone. This is at CERN, and you can see the statue of Shiva there, which we will talk about at some point, hopefully. And so this is a CERN, and we see all these cloaked figures in a ceremony, and they removed the cloak from a young girl. And what they're reenacting here, disturbingly, is a human sacrifice. And this is definitely at the grounds of CERN. This was not a real human sacrifice. I have to say that this was some sort of prank with the scientists, but it's to date, so far as we know, no one has been reprimanded or fired or anything like that. But it's kind of like wink, wink. We know what's happening here.
Is there a follow-up question to that, Tim?
No, I can comment maybe. What I was really shocked to see that, because I never, even the Gotthard thing, I never expected this evil to be so evil, because this is a ritual that you can find a bit everywhere in the world that we're seeing now disclosed. Yeah, and you see how big it came in the back, and it is around, so it is a portal with Shiva, the destroyer, in the middle. So Shiva is the god, Hindu god of destruction. And it is built on Apollyon, which it is a place in Geneva that I didn't know, but now I know, historically, which is already an altar, a sacrifice of destruction, not of good, but of evil. And so this ritual can just, remind you of other rituals that are made around the world, like the Bohemian Groove. Are they doing the same, etc.? And is it the same group? Yes, because they do sacrifices, and they need the sacrifice to feed the beast. For me, there is something there of feeding the beast and the destroyer to summon, like this guy said, I think it's Rich Sutton, to summon, they call it the entities / demons. And, and so if people know that, then this is a symbol of the portal. I'm analyzing, past knowledge, because I didn't know they were doing that. I saw the Shiva, actually, by the way, this Shiva statue, which I thought was nice. Now I know it's a transformer, I guess, but is also in one of the executive rooms of WHO, where we used to go in this room to wait to go and make a panel in the executive room. In the executive room, which is the most important decision making. So it's exactly it's not as big, but there is a symbol, and they work with symbols, like the CERN symbol, like everything is symbolic of this group who has a cult. And to add to that, I can tell you another internal stories is that somebody in WHO, after a conference I made, came to me and said, and told me that what I'm saying is correct, that she's very happy because nobody dares to speak. Why? Because they're afraid to lose their pension system. You see, and that's the only reason, I guess, that nobody is talking. But I said to her, but please tell me what energy and what is behind Tedros, the Director General. Who is directing him exactly? What, apart from Gavi, something, a group? And she said it's a cult. And when you know that the CERN is connected to WHO through a tunnel, and the whole United Nations has tunnels underground, because people from the security have told me that, confirmed. There is a whole system underground with CERN, with the whole United Nations system. We have more than 23 agencies and specialized program of the UN. It's the World Trade Organization, the refugee, the migrants, ITU, very important for AI, is just opposite. And then you have the ILO for the labor office. You have the meteorological office. We have more than anybody else in the whole system. And Switzerland has given immunity to everybody. Gavi also has 10 storage. So you have a system of tunnel underground, and they communicate like that. You don't see when they go here and they go there. And the WEF, the World Economic Forum, is just opposite too. And what is said, I'm going to do a scoop now, because I have many witnesses, yes, who are very reliable, who told me that under the lake there is one of the main CIA bases headquarters.
What?
Yes, and I was like, so I'll tell you
What
how.
lake is that?
The lake of Geneva, the Léman, Lac Léman. So we have the French border and the Swiss, and it's the lake there. Under the lake, which is profound, they have a city apparently underground. I don't know how they breathe, but they know. I mean, and it's really people reliable. It's a former military who has worked in the American Army, and was building helicopters. With a top group, and I called him to know if the helicopters were from the army, because there are many who are still on Geneva undeclared, and he said yes, they are from the army, not the Swiss army, but I cannot tell you. I said, are they nice people? Tell me just if they are or the bad one. And he said nice. Okay, that's it. I cannot tell you anymore. So that was one confirmation. He said that there is a city under the lake that is more than 300,000 people.
What?
And because it's connected to the Geneva, the Mediterranean underground with submarines. Now, another proof is that the Russians, a Russian delegation, came very discreetly on the other side of Geneva of the lake. And it's a monastery who told me that, and many people who are in that village, they saw them come with a submarine, a bathyscaphe, and they were going under the lake of Geneva during 1 week. They were doing investigation. So there is something fishy, it's literal, figurative fishy in this lake. So it explains why it's so important, but it doesn't explain why they chose Geneva to build all this, and it is energetically. Apparently, geobiologically, every big mountain is a point of energy on the cities under in the world, and there are some that have more energy, like the Mont Blanc, the Monte Bianco, which is, I can see it from my window.
Oh.
It's a beautiful mountain. Yeah, it's 4,000 meters. I don't know how much it is in feet, but it is the highest in Europe for more than 4,000, almost 5,000.
I feel like this all has to be connected to a lot of these unidentified subversible phenomenon that we're seeing. The fact that we've got these cities underwater, and a lot of people who are in the UAP, UFO world have said these beings aren't just starting to visit us. They've been here and they're still here. And you would have to think that some of these have to be underwater if they have been here.
Well, if they're parasites, you see. If they're parasites, they can live. They don't need to breathe the same, or I don't know. We are humans, so
Yeah.
That was one of mortals. But David Icke has made incredible interviews, of former MK Ultra, of Mengele, who has worked with the royalties, and she has disclosed so much. She said they're not human, the royalty of England, and you can look at David Icke's videos. It's fascinating. So we have to be open. We cannot in an investigation. We cannot do obstruction to possibilities. That's my
yes. So while we're talking about things that are underground, let's talk a little bit about the Gotthard Tunnel's connection to CERN and this interesting opening ceremony that they had, which I know nothing about. So hopefully you'll fill me in.
Yeah. Again, I never noticed because I don't watch all the news stuff. So when people started to make me aware of this, I looked at it and I was like, watched it, and I said, oh, this is horrible. An inauguration is not like this. And in this little clip, you can find it on X, when you look at St. Gotthard. They are making really, there are all the symbols of a portal, the CERN, of a goat, the devil, and of people trying to, provoke. Oh, yeah, great if you can show it, because it's really...
okay, what is this?
We're going to see that. You will see it. It was incredible.
Okay, so they've got horse and buggy going through.
Yeah, that's a postal thing, and now they're like zombies. You see?
What in the world? So we're watching what appears to be, I'm going to say actors and actresses, a bunch of women and some men in orange jumpsuits
Do you think
walking
that's
like
actors?
zombies.
I think it's might actually be employees.
No, it's artists. No, it's artists. It's a
artists?
show. And this orange suit is the suit of workers, slaves,
Yeah.
slash slaves. And they make a show, and at some point, somebody takes off their clothes, and then you have. I hope we can see it, but you see they are like
Oh.
zombies obeying,
Yes.
and now
When
they
was
start
this?
making a ritual kind of thing.
Okay, so what are we seeing in the background? This must be a screen of some sort where we're seeing boulders tumbling to the ground.
Yeah, because actually the Gotthard is one of the highest mountain of Switzerland also, and they made the biggest tunnel in Switzerland. They digged the mountain. They have this passion of digging mountains, in general in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And
Wow.
actually it's called Saint Gotthard, which means the saint of God. And there is a bridge on the side of the mountain called the Bridge of the Devil. So there is a whole mythological symbolism on that mountain from a long time already. It's not new. So they're portraying the work of the workers. That's what you can think
Yes.
from a first stand. But now you see,
Okay.
well, right, people undressed.
Yes.
And if it wasn't creepy already, it just got
Yeah,
super weird.
they are all in their undergarments throwing chalk, maybe? I'm not sure.
I haven't seen that. Thank you for showing. I didn't see that. I'm shocked because
Dancing and-
Swiss people are usually very prude and they don't show things like that.
This is definitely an interesting thing to show when you're just, opening a tunnel.
Yeah, welcome to the new highway. Let's celebrate.
There's some erotica going on here in the middle of this
Yeah,
celebration.
and then they get even worse after
Oh,
that. With
Okay. Our erotica is gone, and we now have somebody dressed in all black with chains, dancing epileptically is all I could say.
yeah, you
Okay.
see now the symbol of an angel,
Yeah, we've got an angel
and
now.
it's a
Okay,
baby.
that's creepy.
Kind of strange. You see, it's weird. It's like the Eurovision, what they're doing in music now. It's awful. Yeah, and now you get the mosques that are typical of Basel, where the Bank of Settlement is in Switzerland, and of many valleys where you have those mosques with the long hairs that represent entities that are not good, that we have to chase from the village, for example.
What in the world?
But we don't see the mosque yet, so this is strange.
They
I
look
didn't
like
see-
Cousin It. And there's
I
something else
cannot-
dangling from the ceiling now.
I don't understand how this represents this tunnel at all. That's where I'm lost.
Yeah, that's why it's actually a ceremony. It's like a cult and a
It
ritual.
is very
And
much
only
like a
those
cult ceremony.
who are in this Freemasonry cult or whatever other cult there are.
Oh, now we've
You
got
see, now you
animal
see-
skulls.
Yeah, now you get the horns of the
Oh my.
beast. Yeah,
And women in all white robes carrying things.
and it's black and
and-
white also. It's
What is
they-
Sort
that?
of satanic
it's very
looking
perverse
goat
because they
thing.
use the animals of Switzerland to portray evil.
Evil. Oh, who's this guy?
CJ,
Well,
can
he's
you hear
supposed
the
to
audio
be
in
the
this?
peasant
No.
who sings in the mountains, but he's not like that. A peasant is not dressed like that.
All right.
And this
the
is
big
all the
reveal?
politicians. But there is if it's a bit further, you can see the portal of the CERN.
Okay, so connect
There
Let's
is
see
a
if we
CERN.
point
can
where
get to
you
the-
see the portal of the CERN and some entities coming in and out. So they have portrayed the CERN.
And is this tunnel connected to CERN?
Underground, probably, because
Okay.
with the LHC and with all the tunnels that we find from Geneva to Rome to Jerusalem, probably but I cannot. You see all the mountains in you see those the officials.
Yeah,
All the
they're all going,
officials are
what in
so
the heck?
happy.
I've never been more uncomfortable in my life. What did we just sit through?
But you see, it is like yeah, we did not see yet the portal of but you remember it's the same as the inauguration of the Olympic Games in London. They had portrayed so awful things that you
Forgot about that.
felt sick of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you type more people who want to watch, you type Saint Gotthard and you put CERN, you will look. It really looks satanic, really.
Yeah.
And it's like the London inauguration. They were also showing horrible things, and it's like also song contest today. They are portraying and doing propaganda because they want to prepare people to fall in the trap of the cult. They want people to get in the cult and accept the AI probably programmed cult, something like that. Something, but it's awful for to realize that Switzerland is caught in all this, and there are very sincere people everywhere, and they have been hiding this and taking advantage of the whole system of slavery. Tax, we should not pay tax, and we just keep on paying more and more tax on the cat, on the living, and they try really the destruction. So it's just a proof that Switzerland is part of that. And I can add something, because my dad was a military, and when I was a kid, he always said, don't worry, Switzerland is very well protected. We are a defense military, not an attack. Hitler never attacked us because he knew it takes a long time, because our mountains are full of food and hospitals, and it's like cities in the mountain. So that's why I think now it's used in a very bad way, probably, or it has been used in many different ways. Yeah.
It looks so beautiful there. I need to make a visit.
Yes, it's really, you have to come. It's very nice,
mountain.
but it's also why they took the good energy and they changed it. I think there's too many materialistic energy here.
Yes, that is a repeated problem on our planet. Tim, I know you wanted to dive into a little bit about the Temple of Apollo, correct?
Well, actually, I would love to circle back to something else. We're joined by Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger, and we're talking about CERN and tunnels and secret bases under lakes and all kinds of great things. Thanks so much to Dr. Astrid for joining us. So, Dr. Astrid, we've heard CERN described as maybe having two purposes, or, they've got two things they could be searching for. One is controlling time. And I think that you have mentioned that before. Have you heard anything about scientists at CERN, that maybe one of their goals is control of time itself?
Well, I have never met anybody, but it is on their website. And this is where they have teams of different things, but I was never aware that they control time, but it's by doing research that I see that this is one of their aim is to take a hand on the cosmos, because cosmic ray is part of their agenda, the portals, the black hole, the antimatter. So yeah, they basically want not only to replace God, but to replace maybe they have already changed the time. You see, we can also think the opposite. It's that they have created this Antarctica barrier, that we are hidden. There are continents that are hidden. We only are on a little part of this earth, which might not be only round, but convex or other forms. And they are hiding that, and they are putting us in a, because but we should be eternal. We should not even talk about death. For me, it's strange because I feel I'm eternal. I mean, they can. This is why maybe this is going to happen, that this matrix of time and space that has been created, it might shift, and we might see the real truth. So it could be the both ways. They're looking for changing it, or they have changed it, and we are seeing the crumbling down of it.
Right. And you
I
just
hope.
brought up something that was my second point that they could be trying to do at CERN. You mentioned black holes, and some people speculate they could be trying to create miniature or mini black holes, right? Black holes they can control. And I have a little video here on wormholes, and this could potentially lead to wormholes, right? And we know that this is scientifically possible. So let me pull this up.
Problem was that the theory predicted infinities at the center of black holes. These infinities arose when the total mass of a dead star collapsed down into a spot of zero size, what are called singularities. Rosen and Einstein played around with other possible solutions, including using some creative mathematics to replace two singularities with a tube that connected them. These tubes are called Einstein-Rosen bridges, or more commonly, wormholes. In principle, it would be possible to have an object enter one wormhole and exit the other, even though the ends of the wormholes are separated by large distances. This work is called ER theory. While there are many practical problems involved with making wormholes, an especially important one is that they are unstable unless stabilized by large amounts of negative energy. In 1935, Einstein was working...
What do you think about that, Astrid? Do you think CERN is achieving some traveling across dimensions or vast distances here with wormholes, maybe?
Yes, well, everything is possible. We have to really be open, because Einstein was actually a little bit of a fraud. He was at the office in Switzerland of the patents. So he had all the patents and he could see all the patents. And there is some hypothesis of people who analyze all this who say that relativity theory is actually to hide the real truth of what is going on, which makes sense. I was always interested by this because with time you should regenerate and become younger. But I still think that they have made something else. But there are two things. What's interesting is that they talk of singularity point. You saw that?
Mm-hmm.
And singularity point is the point of AI autonomous system. So they are trying to put in place this. I see really every convergence going towards that. So they are making propaganda for us that they are doing research, but actually they're doing propaganda on our mind, because what they're talking about there is more, I think, what you're talking about is more portal, the portal system that I think was already existing. You can see in the Maya civilization in Mexico. I went many times because I'm fascinated by Mexico, and nobody explains well what has happened. And you can see portals, and you think, okay, so they knew that dimension, that we could change dimension. But if you put a matrix on top, nothing works. So there are many who say that we have to go back to the pharaoh, because the pharaoh with the pyramids have blocked an energy that was there before. I don't have any other explanation than that for that. The first point. The second point, I can tell you that it was very strange. They published in the Tribune de Genève, which is the Geneva news, every day, the daily Geneva news. It was a Sunday where everybody reads the newspaper. And the picture that drew my attention was the Lord of the Ring, the ring of the film Lord of the Ring, the magic ring of Sauron. And it was a big picture. And beside, it was talking about the CERN. And that was about before the disappearance. I don't say the word because I'm going to be censored.
J.R.R. Tolkien. Well, one ring to unite them all.
Lipse. Because so I watched it, and I can translate it a little bit to you. It's written, guaranteed collusion. Is it magical or is it evil? And they say a ring is going to be built, because they have decided to build a collider, LHC, of 91 kilometers for the year. I don't know. It's not. For in a few years. But this was the comment an article on that with this image of the Sauron evil ring, and this ring is there to bring them all in the evil darkness and to bind them. That is, and he comments, that's the power of the Sauron ring in The Lord of the Ring. We can take that formula to describe the ring of 91 kilometers of circumference of the CERN, and what that has to be that they want to dig under the Big Geneva. The Big Geneva means it goes to France, it can go to Italy, because everything. So so that's what they want to build, because it looks like this energetic, it is so clear that because it looks like this black hole, energy black hole. So they mentioned that this ring has the power who will give the person bearing it the invisible, sorry, I'm translating right away. This ring will give the power to give the invisible holder a future circular collisioner with the capacity to make to get ever disappeared to get the democratic rights of the touch population disappear.
Is this referencing the Lord of the Rings or the?
No, they're describing. Yeah, well, no, it's that's a comment that
okay.
The CERN 91 kilometer will, like the ring,
okay, gotcha,
give the power, the invisible power, to destroy all democratic rights in the population, as well as to not show the benefits, the concrete benefits of this. Enthusiasts, our authorities are very enthusiastic, our federal authorities are very enthusiastic, and have a solution to avoid the blackout. They will put a casserole top, they will put that's in their kitchen. So it's a very weird. They put some truth, some evil. So they're playing in the media, and putting this in Geneva and media.
Right.
That's exactly what they want to do. For me, this is the message.
Dan Brown, who of course writes the Robert Langdon series and wrote Angels and Demons, which focuses a lot on CERN and antimatter and the Vatican, he must have some inside knowledge into what's going on there, because the concept that they developed antimatter at CERN and could potentially control the world with that power.
Yes.
Is what you are now saying here, that they want to grow bigger so that they have more power to control the masses.
And they're trying to make us believe that it's magic or evil. But actually, what I see Max Igan is saying something very interesting, and others is that they're actually creating a matrix of AI to call upon evil science to take over, because then it will, you see 5G everywhere, you see all the lamps have been changed with LED, who are actually antennas. They're changing the whole matrix to prepare, to turn on this huge AI with ChatGPT, etc. So we have to really have to say no to that, even internally. For me, that's what's happening. Yeah, they're saying a story which is not true, so that people fall into that new religion. And maybe
How do people, in your opinion, how should people protect themselves from this matrix that's been created?
Actually, I feel that's my inner feeling, that I feel that this is shifting now. I feel there is a change going on, but I would say those vaccinated have to really detox completely, and the others have to protect themselves, because they are trying to intoxicate us with aluminium, with things, blah blah, because this is going to keep us in the grid. So we have to disentangle each other, and not each other, from this matter. And there are, for example, antidotes. I've spoken with so many, and I have made protocols and stuff. But you can take, for example, essential oil of lemon and grapefruit. Also cinnamon with cacao, chocolate to drink. Things this disentangles and detoxifies the body, and everything natural. You have to eat natural. Don't eat their 5G, their GMO and stuff. We have to get back to nature. This is our savior. It is really to connect again with our great planet, but not. They're even destroying plants and trees. They're trying to electrify. You see things, and we are magnetic, so we have to work on that. And
stay out of the middle of the grocery store, people. There's literally nothing you need in the middle of the grocery store. I don't know about Switzerland, Astrid, but here in America, we tell people to go around the outside of the grocery store where the fruits and vegetables and plants are. It's in the middle, right? You have all this processed food with all these processed oils and fats, and that's the place they really try to get you to go. It's so addictive, and it tastes good, and you want more of it, but literally none of it is good for you.
Yeah, very good. And also have to be careful what you drink. Retrograde Red Bull. This is a killer.
Don't tell me that I can't drink coffee and we'll be okay.
No, but no. We have to believe in ourselves. Also, we have a great immune system, and if you express yourself, with energy, you can get rid of almost anything. So the fact that if you drink water that is or you inform the water with bad energy. You see, water is actually very magical. It's been proven by many scientists, and it is of course censored, because you can inform most of your food and most of your water. Even the Hindus have this incredible ritual, and they eat with their hands, or and everybody does that in all religions now. You pray and you change the energy of things. So we have to get back to have more respect for what we do and what we eat, and think if there is meat, you say thank you to the animal, like indigenous people, and you have more respect. And I think with that already you create a kind of your own grid of a healthy grid. Or you go and walk in the grass barefoot, you actually restore your electromagnetic field. This has been proven by people who study that, but nobody will tell you. Yeah, so there are many things like that where we have to do, but the consciousness is the most important. And then you have to be very sure of yourself. You see, for example, cancer, we know it's parasites now. So ivermectin or black cumin oil will kill it. It's the equivalent. There's always a natural equivalent. Look for it. There's always. Hydroxychloroquine is lemon and grapefruit, so.
So one thing that we seem to find in common with everybody that comes on our show that seems connected to this phenomenon that's happening is their diet, their exercise, how well connected they are to their surroundings. So certainly something to consider in our everyday lives to make sure that we are not being controlled.
Yes.
Tim, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we?
Yes, I did. Maybe this last thing, and then we can have a couple of listener questions for Astrid, if she's okay with that.
Yes,
but
of course.
Astrid, you brought up something about a top secret base, CIA base under Lake Geneva, I believe. And
Yes.
we've heard from folks like Ross Coulthard. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Australian journalist Ross Coulthard. And he says that somewhere in this world is a giant UFO that is underground. It's so big they couldn't move it. They had to build a base on top of it or something else. So you're underground, and all this tunnel talk has got me to thinking about that. Have you heard anything about UFOs or the UFO phenomenon or underground UFOs, or what's your take on that, and how does it relate to anything that we've been talking about today?
What did he find? A giant platform? What was
Well,
it?
he claims that at some point we discovered a UFO that was so large it could not be moved.
Oh,
And
I see.
that the military and governments put some sort of facility on top of it to keep it hidden, but that this is an active facility with a purpose and a function. So I just wondered if you heard of any such a thing, and if you have heard of anything in with the UFO topic.
Well, it's not new to me. I mean, I had to choose science, but I actually wanted to go and learn parascience, and I should have gone to Holland. But so my dad was a lot into. He's a military, but he was reading a lot on UFOs. So it's not like, when I was a kid, I knew that this was a very important topic, and so I'm sure they're hiding it all. You probably have many shows on that. They're censoring all the data on that, and this is very disturbing. And they're trying to make them look like evil, which is crazy. But maybe there are some, but it's not the right ones. And what I have with the French people, France is a place where there are a lot of landings of UFOs, and there is a big activity in the south of France. So this I know from there, and also down from the Mont Blanc, down from the mountain, there are UFOs entries in the mountain. That's what I hear from reliable people in south of France, and there are a few places, and even known, Chateau Rennes-le-Château, for example, is known to have seen UFO sighting, but of course silence. Nobody's talking about it. So that's one thing. The other thing is that in Brittany, under the water, if you go to Brittany, it's a very interesting place because it's Celtic. I'm a half Viking myself. I'm Norwegian, so I'm very interested in all Viking and Celtic, because north of France was Viking, and they have lots of proof that it was also, invaded or occupied or marriages. I don't know, but in Brittany they have Karnak, which is kind of Stonehenge but much better. I think it's more authentic. It's not built up, at least. But under the sea, there are thousands of menhirs, dolmens, that are standing inside, down. And so you ask, of course, I go to the archaeologists and they say, so what is it? How do you explain? And they never have an answer. It's like in Maya, where you see the UFOs that are on all the ruins. And so I was wondering if it's not a basis of some sort, and that's just a remnant. Everything else has been destroyed, but that's what I hear at the moment. I hear that there is a lot of activity, but I have never met myself or seen it myself. That's what I can. But and I saw that Rockefeller, who I was studying longevity of people, and Rockefeller died at 100, so it's at least 20 years ago. And I said, what was he doing, before he died? And I typed, and I saw that he actually had mandated a report on the danger of unidentified flying objects, the extraterrestrial danger. Rockefeller,
really?
the father of. So I thought, that must have been a real worry about that at the end of his life.
Yes.
So it's just a clue for those who are much more expert than me. But I know it is there. It exists. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And I don't know if CERN has some ability to do something about that, or our lake. I've never seen anything. They're hiding it.
CERN is what was built over the this giant UFO.
That is a great point. A great question.
All right, Tim, we have some hot takes that you wanted to bring in, or listener questions.
Well, I think we should get to our listener questions. That kind of was my hot take.
Okay.
Astrid's thoughts on UFOs there and the phenomenon.
Yeah.
But we do have a question here from listener Helen of Crystals.
All right. Does Dr. Astrid think very high vibration children are visited by beings and targeted to keep their vibration lower?
Yeah, excellent question. Yes, absolutely. I really think they're targeted with hypertronic armaments. I know cases myself. it's a phenomenon like that. They have incarnated or chosen their mission here because they're hypersensitive, etc. But the energy is so hard for them that it's very difficult as teenagers to keep their vibration high. And the only way, in a way, is, and of course they have killed or censored all those people. In France, and I think everywhere in the world, there are exorcists, and there are people taking off, entities off and helping this new generation also to heal, not just with psychiatric and pharma, because that puts them down. So, I think that they do everything in many ways to take the energy of children and families and women down, because they want to stop procreation. And I'll give you an example that you might not know. In radiesthesia, I'm doing courses with experts in France and Germany, where it started. Do you know what is radiesthesia? It's to study. Yeah,
I don't know.
You don't? Okay.
Or maybe the translation.
Yeah, you can really measure the harmonics on Earth, and how, if a mirror is upside down, it can be open portals of bad entities that you have to bless it. You have to do, put back the energies at you can measure them with Bovis scale, Bovis. And when I went to those expert groups of France with the vials, I said, what can you tell me about this? And they said, it's awful. They want to turn off the light of people. They have put entities in them. They have also told me that the code bar and the QR codes are actually there to turn down the energy of whatever it prints on. So if you have a bottle, I don't have an example, whatever you buy, you buy something and there is a code bar.
Yes.
You have to do the alpha 3, 4, 5 up to 7 times, and the energy is back. Can you imagine? So, and this is I consider them as scientific people, because they are many and they check each other. So it means that they're trying very hard to bring down the energy by the surroundings of people who don't heal themselves or don't have enough high energy to control this dark grid that is trying to pull down the children. So children have to learn more than anybody to protect themselves. Take baths with salt. Salt takes off also bad energy, things like that. So the high vibration of children, I have a case really that I brought to those people. It's a friend of mine, and he doesn't want to get out and work. It's like if he is attacked all the time, and each time he goes to those people who are sacred and know how to do things, he feels better and better, and he's getting back to his vibration. So we know that today they are sending also a targeted individual. I don't know if you have talked about this with the group of the US, and there are people who are attacked by those Wi-Fi energy and they get hypersensitive to everything. You need to protect yourself, with stones, with, I have companies where I know that it works because some have been testing it that I trust. And we have to protect ourselves. No, don't sleep with the Wi-Fi. Don't sleep with this. Try to depollute the AI Wi-Fi system, and then your child are going to be better. But we are much more powerful than we think, because I really want to insist on that. We are much more powerful than they try to make us believe. They try to get off our self-esteem and creativity. We are much more powerful, and love heals, truth heals, and those children have to be taken care of. When the parents are in despair because they are sick, they have to, many people have been not well, very tired. And it's everybody, it's collective, it's not individual. So we have to raise our energy with food much more. We have to really much more fight for our environment and our food and our emotion, the epigenetics of the beginning.
There does
I
seem
heard
to be a
you say-
collective exhaustion. That's for sure. I
Yeah.
feel it.
I think
It's
that's
right.
great advice, Astrid. You know, not only do I think that the signals that are everywhere around us are innately bad for us, but when you combine that with AI can use all the signals around us. This is a fact in really disturbing ways. And I think that, there's a lot of things going on that we don't know about. And, it's even been shown that, hey, if we just take our shoes and socks off and connect our feet to the bare ground, then even that in and of itself has health benefits. So
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
that's some
and you
great
have to
points.
listen to your to your inner feeling. What is good for me, and make the list. Yeah, chronic fatigue syndrome is it's everywhere in the world. I talked with hypersensitive and medium people who are medium, and they have never been so attacked since the beginning of the year. So there is one interesting way that I use to myself is I put Epsom salt in my bath, and I sunk in for an hour. You can watch a video from a distance. You can meditate, put a candle, put some music, make a feel good feeling, and
Read
it
a
takes
book.
off from your whole skin this bad energy, because our skin is like noses. I wrote a book called 1,000 Noses, because scent is very important, and what you put on your skin. Take really pure oil or baby oil that you're sure doesn't have too much of this horrible toxicities. We have to get back to nature. But there are ways like that with chronic fatigue. I have caught, I call it a chemtrail, a chemtrail extinction of voice and kind of cold. It was cold, warm. And I accept that I have to sleep. I had to sleep for 1 week. I was like, what is happening to me? And I said, no, you have to take care of yourself. Your body is asking for that. So you detox. And if you have this mucus coming out, just spit it in a handkerchief, because your body, and this is the real virus, is your detox. It doesn't exist. You have to help your body to detox. And if you have the mucus, the body's saying, I want to get out of your body, whatever happened. Your stress, what we breathe. So your body knows how to fight, and to help, you can take glutathione or NAC, and acetylcysteine or glutathione and zinc. So this helps the body to heal with the rest but it is good to accept and say, okay, I'm going to turn off from my job. I'm going to say, I'm not going to work. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to ask a doctor to make a certificate, and I take care of myself. Don't hesitate. Yeah.
Yes. Well, this has been a very insightful conversation. I feel like we have gone into so many different territories, and there's hours worth more to cover. So hopefully you will join us again on the show.
Yes, this is very nice.
Yeah. And we are excited to announce that we have our new website up and running. You can go to allthingsunexplained.com and get to all things about us and connect
Nice.
with us in many ways. Dr. Stuckelberger, where can people go to find more information about your research and what you're doing?
Thank you. Yeah, I've been very humble and discreet, because that has allowed me to speak more and not to be censored like you just saw. So I'm kind of very quiet, but I have a website that I had already since 15 years. I will post in the future more. It's www.Astrid Stuckelberger all-in-one.com. In the future, I will make, I had 5 books to be published, and I did not do it because COVID would have broken me. They would not do it. Even Balboa Press said that I cannot publish on this topic. I was like, wow. Anyway, so it will come in time, and I will do my utmost. I have a Telegram, by the way. That's the best, because it's not censored for the moment. It's not like, and it is Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger, like you see my name, and it is my picture, and there is
and just like that, she gets censored again.
They got her again. Didn't want her to
What
give
did
that
I say?
telegram out.
Yeah, what did you say this time?
Giving out your information.
I said join. What? No, and otherwise I'm on X, And I actually post a selection like you saw that I think is really important. I don't have time. It's like needing a secretariat and I cannot answer all the requests, but I'm reading the emails, and in time I can respond or comments, and thank you for that. And,
well, we certainly appreciate you accepting our request, and we know that you're a very busy woman and making lots of wonderful changes in our society. So we thank you for your time and your insight. And again, I hope that we can have you on in the future.
Yes,
Tim,
I
I'll
would be
throw
very
it to
happy.
you.
And I hope I will have more news on frequency and everything that to help people.
That's great. We have so many things to chat about. If you can join us again sometime. I'm Dr. Mounts. CJ Derringer is my co-host. We've been joined today by Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger. Thanks so much to her. We put links to her website in the chat, and they'll be in the show descriptions wherever you're listening to us at. If you'd like to support the show, one of the best ways you can do it is on our YouTube store. Check that out. Also by making sure to subscribe, follow, comment, like, and share our videos and our podcast. It really helps us defeat the evil algorithms that are trying to keep the truth stamped down. So we really appreciate you. You can also check us out on our new website, allthingsunexplained.com. Lots of ways to find out more All Things Unexplained there. And today we went on a journey across the globe, folks, around the whole universe, from portals at CERN to statues of Shiva they put in at CERN that represent the god of destruction for some reason, to huge tunnels they're building in Switzerland, to aliens, to UFOs, to demons, to subatomic dimensions. We've been around on quite a trip today, but I want to take something Dr. Stuckelberger suggested. Let's get away from these signals that are surrounding us, these Wi-Fi signals, the satellite signals. Let's take our shoes off. Let's take our socks off. Head out into the woods tonight. Maybe today, not tonight, but look for Bigfoot, look for UFOs, look for portals. Listen to your surroundings. You know, you may not find Bigfoot, you may not see a UFO, but you might just find something a lot more important out there. You might find yourself. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All Things Unexplained.
What's your hot take on Travis Taylor?
I've got an exclusive for you guys if you want it about the Alaska.
We do.
Okay.
Dr. Taylor was revealed to be the chief scientist of the UAP task force with the Pentagon.
So some of that, I think, sir, we'll save for closed session.